2,400 square miles of mountains separate the East Coast from the vast Midwest, but here in Long Pond, Pennsylvania, there's a different mountain these drivers will have to climb today. The biannual visit from the Cup Series, yearly visits by many other series, and at one time, the ISMA GT Championship, it's easy to say that Pocono has become a staple of racing. For some drivers such as Jeff Gordon and AJ Foyt, Pocono was a paradise, while for others it can be a career-ending nightmare. Welcome to the Creekfire 65 at Pocono Raceway, where the Southern Motorsports Lazy Days Cup Series pushes on into Week 14. I'm Stephen Parks with PBR Broadcasting, and I will be bringing you all the action here tonight. And as these drivers are wrapping up practice, let's take a look at the track for tonight. Pocono Raceway, designed by the 1959 and 1962 Indy 500 winner Roger Ward. Pocono Raceway is a 2.5 mile course where we will see 3, 4, and possibly 5 wide on the front stretch as drivers battle for the bottom line into Turn 1. And speaking of Turn 1, let's take a look at Turn 1. Turn 1 is a 14-degree banking turn modeled after the now closed Trenton Speedway in Trenton, New Jersey. The danger of Turn 1 comes when we see multiple cars fighting for that bottom groove, trying to get to the bottom line, and when the battle coming on the exit, they go into Turn 2, which is called the tunnel turn. It's modeled after Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and we'll see many drivers trying to clip the apex on this corner. This 9-degree banking can make for an interesting battle on the exit, as many cars will clip the outside wall as they try to get as much speed going into Turn 3. Turn 3 is a 6-degree banking corner that is very similar to the Milwaukee Mile. The sight of the open front stretch can make drivers want to push that car and get on the throttle a little earlier than they should, causing the car to snap loose, and we'll see a lot of cars flying down into the pits as they try to push these cars. 162.5 miles equaling for 65 laps. We should see 2 to 3 pit stops if they keep it green flag racing here tonight. And as we are seeing the fuel run being roughly 25 to 30 laps. So they do have just over 3 minutes left in practice. And with that, let's take a look at the championship right now. After 13 weeks and heading into Pocono, Seth Hatchell does have the lead here at Southern Motorsports in the Lazy Days Racing Cup Series. Chris Caruso, Adam Baker, Bob Skinner, and David Howard Jr. will round out the top 5, followed by Chris Samard, Joe Owen, Joe Mitchell, Aaron Riley, and Jeff Sharp rounding out the top 10. Some of the stories to watch here tonight. Shane Pippola, who is on the track right now, he's actually in the pits, and we see he is running the 6th fastest time. He was last year's Pocono winner here in the Southern Motorsports Cup Series. He is currently running in 12th in points. And we'll also take a look at Keith Mayato, who was running the fastest time earlier today, currently sitting in 2nd. He is the 2017 SoMO All-Star winner, is tied with Christopher Caruso for the most wins this year, with wins at Texas and Kansas, but due to some scheduling conflicts, he's only been able to make 8 of the 13 races this year, and is currently sitting in 14th. So take a look at Christopher Caruso, who is the Daytona 500 winner, also has a win at Martinsville, and currently leads the field with 8 top 5 finishes and is currently scored as 2nd. So he's definitely had some consistency there, but could definitely use a couple more points to possibly get him above Seth Hatchell. Christopher Caruso is running the fastest time here in practice today. Seth Hatchell leads the scoring this season with only 1 win being at Bristol, but consistency has been the key for Seth Hatchell's season, as he has 8 top 10 finishes. There's also a mix of clubs here at Southern Motorsports, but Georgia will lead the charge with 7 drivers this season. And league owner Paul Zoda, who is currently showing as 15th in time taken here in practice, leads the charge for the Georgia club with 318 points, tied for 12th with Shane Pipala. Or Pipala, sorry about that. And it does look like we are getting ready to head to qualifying. All right, so practice will wrap up. We'll head to qualifying right now. Go to the qualifying scoreboard there. And let's take a look at... Oh, this is an open qualify. They will have 5 minutes to take the fastest time they can. You'll see a lot of guys trying to pick up some draft and get the fastest time. But let's watch number 8, Seth Hatchell, here for a little bit, as he is the points leader heading into week 14. As they will have to go around 1 lap for that out lap, but then it's all they have, and it does look like they are going to only be able to get a couple laps in here today for qualifying, so you want to make sure you do get that fastest time in as quick as you can. We're going to see these guys come around turn 3. We can take the camera. There they come. They're coming around turn 3 right now. We'll start to see those first times rolling in. With 3 minutes remaining in qualifying. And Joe Mitchell will take... No, Chris Caruso is going to take it right back. He was fast in practice. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see him hold on. As all those guys that just took their first times right back in the pits, getting those fresh tires, coming back out. Looks like they may get one more lap in before we go to the grid. Interesting move by all those guys that first crossed that line. Immediately on the brakes, down low, getting out of the car, getting back to pit road, and fresh tires on the cars and right back out there. 2 laps around this track does make those tires wear down pretty quickly. So with one of the laps not counting, you gotta really take that shot at getting one more lap in with fresh tires. We are watching the 42 of Christopher Caruso, who is currently sitting 2nd in points. Daytona 500 winner and the Martinsville winner. And Keith Maedo will take over. That time, it didn't look like Chris Samard had enough. He was 6 thousandths slower. That'll leave it to Keith as we wind down here. And they are going to try one more time, but it doesn't look like they will have enough time to make 2 more laps around. Right now, Keith Maedo is sitting on top of the board. And the 2 most winningest drivers. Chris Samard will bump into. Excuse me, I thought Chris Caruso was in second. That is Chris Samard. So we'll have the most winningest drivers this season starting in the same. We'll be starting on the same line. They'll be 1 and 3. So it'll be interesting to see if Chris Samard can get up there. And last year's winner, Shane Pippola, is in 6th. And there's the checker flag for qualifying. Not sure if it's going to let Keith finish his lap here. It does look like it might, as he's coming around turn 3, trying to better that time he put down for his 2nd lap. It doesn't look like he did improve that time. So we will wait for the pace car to come out. I do believe everybody has. No, we still have some cars sitting on pit road, so we have not gone to the grid. Looks like we are just about to wrap that up, though. There we go. We will see the grid. And Keith Maedo will lead the field out here tonight. Let's take a look at that grid, though. Starting on the pole will be Keith Maedo. Chris Samard will start 2nd. Chris Grosso, the winner of the Daytona 500, will be sitting in 3rd. Joe Mitchell will be starting in 4th. Seth Hatchell will start 5th tonight. Shane Pippola will be starting in 6th. Kurt Davidson in 7th. Lupe Gonzalez will be starting 8th. David Howard Jr. will start 9th tonight. Stephen Burnett will start 10th. Outside of the top 10, Adam Baker will start 11th. Joe Owen will start 12th. Aaron Riley will start 13th tonight. Billy Howard in 14th. Paul Zoda will start 15th tonight. David Gainforth in 16th. Jim Locking will start 17th tonight. Jeff Sharp will start 18th. Jeff Glockner will start 19th, and Dean Viney will start 20th. Bob Skinner will start 21st tonight. Lynn McNeese will start 22nd. And rounding out your field tonight will be Jay Dubuque, who it does look like he has left the server, so he has packed it up for the night and will not be starting the race. "65 laps of action here tonight as they come around the tunnel turn for the parade lap. And they're going to come around turn 3, and we are going to get a quick start here, as the pace car has been known to pull off really late. And here we go. They're on the front stretch coming down. There goes the pace car, and the green flag is out. 65 laps of action here at Pocono, and you're seeing them jump 3, 4, 5 wide already. As it looks like maybe we had a driver miss a gear, miss a shift, something, because we had a big break in the pack to start the race here tonight. And it looked like we had the 88 of Jeff Glockner, maybe, was a little bit loose there coming off turn 1, heading into the tunnel turn. This is where things are going to heat up when the racing gets late in the runs. Nobody into the wall there, so good job for these guys going into turn 3. Keith Mayato is starting to pull away a little bit, but the 77 of Chris Samard is able to keep him right there. Really close, a little bit of brush into the wall there, and something different about this track, and we're going to have to ride along with a driver later on to see if they are doing it. And we got a wreck. We got one in the wall, one into the inside wall, coming back onto the track, and the caution is out. And let's see if we can take a look to see who it was here. That was Jim locking into the wall. And the 48, it looks like, no, 49 of Jeff Sharp also involved in that. Let's see if maybe we can get a better look at to what happened to Jeff here. Or Jim locking here. As they're coming onto the front stretch, Jeff actually had the inside line. I don't think Jim knew he was there. Went to go high, hit that wall. And sent. See if we can find him here. Sent Jeff Sharp for a pretty good ride there. As he had to tow it, unfortunately. Here it is. Yeah, I went for a pretty nasty ride, but had to tow it, and it is a long track, so he will get a lot of time, or he has to get back on the track. But he'll have possibly a blown motor, but you know, he will be able to get back on the track at some point here tonight if he decides to. So Keith Mayato has contained the lead for 3 laps now. And we saw that action already. We're going to see if these guys come down to pit road. They're coming around tunnel turn right now. And like I was saying before we had that wreck there, you will see, we'll have to ride along with somebody later on in the race, because you'll see a lot of guys shifting, going into 1 and going into 3. A lot of guys like to downshift into 3rd and kind of get that car settled down. And then use 4th to settle the car on exit. So we'll see if that works for some guys here tonight. We do have some takers to the pits, though. Go to our other pit lane camera. There we go. We'll see a couple of them coming off pit road here shortly. As it looks like we had roughly, I'd say about 8 drivers take to pit road, as here they come storming off of pit road now. And it'll be the, I believe that was the 24 of Joe Owen coming off pit road first. And we are going to have some long stretches here as they are under their first caution. And let's see if we can get a word in with one of the drivers. See here. See if we can get Chris Samard. Let's see if we can get him. Chris Samard, you got a copy?
Yes, I do.
This is Stephen Parks up in the PBR broadcasting booth. How you doing out there tonight?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Now we have seen you be able to keep that distance from Keith pretty slim there. You think you got a shot at catching him maybe in one of the turns here tonight?
I definitely do. I think if I can just stay with him through a long run, I can do it. But we're going green now, so.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay.
All right, and that came up on us pretty quick, so let's go back green as the green flag did just come out. Didn't get a chance to ask him if he is shifting in 1 and 2, but we'll figure out here shortly, as he is going to go to the high side, as he's not clear to go low just yet. Excuse me, he is on the inside. And no, that is Joe Mitchell on the inside of him right there. Let's take a look at how close these guys are running here right now. 3-car battle. Keith Mato is, of course, up front. Chris Samard is a 10th back, and Joe Mitchell is falling back to half a second, as he's probably trying to save some tires there. The battle up front is still going strong. Coming off of turn 3. A little bit of wiggling there by everybody, but it'll stay clean. Because everybody's really fighting for that top side to get as much of a runoff as they can. Let's go back to Shane Pippola, as he's in the battle right now with Chris Caruso and Joe Mitchell. He is going to pass Caruso for the moment. Battle for the top 5 right here, as Seth Hatchell is trying to mix into that as well. He is stuck behind Stephen Burnett. And really, after the top 2, everybody in this thing battling it out. Side-by-side action. Shane trying to get the run off the corner. It's going to be a little bit difficult, though, as Chris is going to take back over the 4th spot for the moment. But going into turn 1, things could change once again. And it actually looks like Stephen Burnett is trying to make a run on that outside. We're seeing Chris Caruso move into the 3rd position, passing up the 11 of Joe Mitchell. This battle's still going on between these two. The number 5 of Stephen Burnett, and oh, we do have one wrecking back there. Somebody went into the pits. And I think that was David Howard Jr. We'll see if we can get a quick check to see what happened there. Because his car snapped pretty loose coming off the corner. We'll see if maybe it was just driver error, or he possibly got involved with somebody there. Nope, he lost it on his own, took it down pit road. No real problems though. It's going to set him back quite a ways. He is still going to be on that lead lap. Go back out front. Keith Mayato still leading this thing. 9 laps led for him. Chris Samard in second, and Chris Caruso now sitting in third. And let's look at the difference between Joe Mitchell with third and fifth. He is currently sitting in fourth. And you see the distance right there between fourth and fifth. Shane Pippola has kind of fallen back about a second back from Joe Mitchell. And it looked like that was the 07 of Billy Howard making contact with the wall, went to the inside. Is going to get back in line, no problems there. And it does look like we have one car taking it behind the wall for the night. That is Jeff Sharp, the 49, was involved in that first wreck. Hit the inside wall, blew his engine. He has pulled it behind the wall for the night and will be done. Little side-by-side action between the 07 of Billy Howard and the 48 of Adam Baker. They're going to clear it out pretty quickly. And then right behind them, you have the 33 of Aaron Riley and the 41 of Kurt Davidson battling it out for 11th and 12th. And they're going to stay side by side, heading into turn one. As we start to see these cars spread out, it's going to be less likely we'll see a caution. The turn 3 is pretty tricky. They will have some troubles if they start to push it, thinking they've got a run coming off the corner. And let's take a look up front as Chris Samard and Chris Caruso have separated, and they are staying pretty good distance within each other. About a second separates the front 3. Actually, it is a 0.8 second interval between first and third. And we are seeing that gap close even more. I'm wondering if maybe Keith Mayato has used up his tires pretty early here, as we're going to see that gap shut down to 0.4 seconds between first and third. And we're going to see Chris Grosso go to that outside look and then get back in line. And Joe Mitchell starting to close the gap between third and fourth. And Shane Pippola back here battling with points leader Seth Hatchell. Steven Burnett, Lupe Gonzalez also in the mix for that 5th position. And we're seeing Seth peek to the inside, but I don't know if he can get quite the run he wants to on that inside line, as you're going to be required to brake a lot more once you hit the apex of the corner. Coming off of turn 3, and they're going to go single file, and now we're going to have a battle for second, and it's going to be given up pretty quickly. Christopher Caruso into second, passing Chris Samard. And now Chris Samard is going to try to take back that line. Might get the run coming off the corner, but Christopher Grosso is going to be able to make the exit stick and get out there a lot farther. And with this battle going on, let's take a ride along with Christopher Caruso and see how he is driving the car out here tonight. And it didn't sound like at all that Christopher Grosso was shifting in the corner. Kind of something surprising, as we're seeing a lot of drivers now shift in 1 and 3. But things have cleared up a lot since these drivers have separated themselves. Go back to Seth Hatchell, who is now battling for the 4th position, has caught up to Joe Mitchell and has put a gap between him and Steven Burnett. Lupe Gonzalez, Shane Pippola has fallen back to 9th now, as he's still kind of in a battle here with Kurt Davidson, actually quite some distance behind him, but Adam Baker did recently pass him. 20 laps led for Keith Mayato here tonight, as we have seen him start to kind of give up some time to Christopher Caruso and Chris Samard. We're going to see that battle heat up even more, as now it's down to a 10th between Keith Mayato and Chris Caruso. And they are getting near their pit stop times. A little bit of a wiggle from Keith, but not much. He's able to keep that lead. And when do we see the 42 jump to that inside line? A battle for the most wins here this season. I saw Chris think about it, but not decide to. And do we see the move here? Chris looking to that outside. He's not going to have enough room. We'll have a pass back here for 6th, it looks like, though. Oh, it looked like it for a second, but Stephen Burnett will be able to hold off Lupe Gonzalez. Let's go back up front and watch this battle unfold. Chris Caruso, a member of the Lazy Days racing team. He is trying to get another win here for the team. And I'm sure he's got a spotter right now telling him to relax, stay calm, and wait for his opportunity. He does go to that inside line. He's going to take the inside from Keith and will take the lead for the moment. And coming out of tunnel turn, he is going to hold on to it and take the lead over from Keith Mayato. We'll have a new leader for the first time here tonight. Or will we? Keith's going to get back to the inside of the line. It'll be a race off of turn 3. And it will be Chris getting his first lap led here tonight. Battle will continue up front. Christopher Caruso now 2 laps led. He is able to hold off Keith Mayato for a little bit longer. Chris Samard starting to struggle a little bit. Maybe those tires are starting to wear on him, as they should be coming near their pit stops anytime now. Seth Hatchell has made his way up into 4th, passing the 11 of Joe Mitchell. We're waiting to see when maybe we'll get those first stops in as we head to lap 29. And somebody we haven't seen a lot of here tonight, that is the 99 of Paul Zoda, the league owner. Currently running back in 14th. Let's see where Paul started here tonight. Started in 15th, so he has made one position. Like his highest position of the night was 13th. Running right there, running smooth, getting some laps in. And right behind him is the 101 of David Gainforth, who, just like Paul, has made one position up. And we're starting to see some separation here between first, second, and third, as now a second separates the top 3. Christopher Caruso out to a half-second lead over Keith Mayato as they head to lap 31. One caution here tonight, and we're almost halfway through the race. And we do have our first pit stop of the night. That is the 24 of Joe Owen. I imagine we start seeing more stops here as he's coming off pit road right now. He will have the leaders coming up behind him. I imagine we see Joe battle to stay on that lead lap as he's going to have those fresh tires. And we may see these leaders try to push this thing for a one-stop race. Joe Owen will stay on the lead lap. We're going to have a couple more takers to pit road. That is the 99 of Paul Zoda. And it looks like he may have a little bit of damage, but he is on pit road. And he overshot his pit box. And he will go one lap down to the 42 of Christopher Caruso. We are seeing more takers. Keith Mayato, Chris Samar down pit road. That is the 53 of Lupe Gonzalez. Stephen Burnett, Aaron Riley, all down pit road. So that'll move the 48 of Adam Baker up into second. But I imagine we do see our leader coming down pit road as he has a 9.5 second lead over Adam Baker. And just like that, the 42 will come down pit road. See if Adam Baker stays out or leads a lap. He will go down pit road and also get fresh tires along with Shane Hippola, Kurt Davidson, Billy Howard coming down with them. David Gainforth coming in. Bob Skinner now. Let's see if Bob Skinner stays out. No, he will come down pit road as well. So we'll give it back to the leader, Keith Mayato. Our leader right now is showing Lynn McNeese, the 84 of Lynn McNeese out front, with Dean Viney right behind him. We'll see if these two decide to stay out one more lap and try to lead a lap, but they have the 42 of Christopher Caruso 5 seconds back. And they will stay out one more lap. And we do have one other car going down pit road. That is the 7 of David Howard Jr., who had an unfortunate slip down pit road earlier today. Managed to stay on that lead lap, though. And it does look like everybody who's on the track still on the lead lap. Jeff Glockner is getting dangerously close to getting lapped. As Lynn McNeese has led his first lap, and Dean Viney and Lynn still have yet to pit. They do have Chris Grosso coming down on him 2.5 back. And they're going to stay out one more time. I imagine we at least see a pass for second. As Dean Viney in the baby blue Zest car getting passed up by the 42 of Christopher Grosso. With that leader coming down, I imagine we see the 84 coming down pit road this time around, as his teammate Dean Viney has already gotten passed for second. And it does look like he told Chris to go high. Oh, he will stay out one more time. So he'll get 3 laps led before he gets passed by the 42. And Lynn's not going to give it up. He almost throws the block up in the corner. And he's going to give it up there on the exit to the 42 of Christopher Grosso. Keith Mayato now coming down on him. And Dean Viney has fallen back, getting ready to get passed by Seth Hatchell. Excuse me, he has gotten past. Did Dean Viney pit? I believe he did. Yes, he's coming off pit road right now. So Lynn McNeese now in a battle with the 09 of Keith Mayato. And Lynn drops down to come down to pit road, slowing it down. We'll go back out front to Christopher Caruso. But Chris does have that 1.5, almost 2-second lead. But with everybody taking their first pit stop, let's go ahead and take a look through the field. Chris Grosso coming to his 10th lap lead. And he's starting to work on some lap traffic. We'll wait until he passes the 88 of Jeff Glockner, our first lapped car of the night. But Chris did start in third, 10 laps led, now is sitting up front. Keith Mayato started on the pole tonight, has led 25 laps, currently sits in second. Seth Hatchell, who started fifth, has made his way up to third, is the points leader, so needs to stay as far up front as he can, because Christopher Grosso is trying to break that. Chris Samard, who started second tonight, currently sits in fourth. Joe Mitchell started fourth tonight, has fallen back to fifth. Lupe Gonzalez started eighth, now sits in sixth. Stephen Burnett, who started 10th, now in seventh. Adam Baker, who started 11th, has made his way up to 8th. Joe Owen started 12th tonight, now in 10th. Aaron Riley started 13th, sits in 12th. Jane Pippola, last year's winner, started in 6th, currently sits in 9th. Kurt Davidson started 7th, has fallen back to 12th. Billy Howard, who started 14th, is up in 13th. Paul Zoda, who started 15th, still sits in 14th. David Gainforth, who started 16th, in 15th. Jim Locking started 17th, sits in 16th. Lynn McNeese, who led 3 laps, started 22nd, now sits in 17th. David Howard Jr. started 9th tonight, now sits in 18th. Bob Skinner, who started 21st, is currently running 19th. Dean Viney started 20th, currently sits in 20th, saw him as high as 2nd place. And Jeff Glockner, our only lap car here tonight, started 19th, currently runs in 21st. So Chris Grosso hasn't led the most laps here tonight quite yet. He has 12 laps led to Keith's 25, but it is still within reach as we come to lap 42 of 65 here tonight. And still only one caution. Let's take a look at the race summary here as we get near 20 to go. Christopher Caruso is your leader. 3 lead changes, as we've seen our 3 leaders, who were Christopher Caruso, Keith Mayato, and Lynn McNeese. 1 caution for 3 laps, 23 remaining, coming to 22. And your fastest lap belongs to... see who that fastest lap belongs. It is the 11 of Joe Mitchell with a 51.968. Go back out front as Keith is starting to close the gap on Chris Caruso. So we might have seen some opposite strategies here in the early run. I think we saw Chris kind of hang back and save his tires for the long run, where Keith was out there running, trying to lead as many laps as he could. And I think we're starting to see the effects of kind of an opposite strategy. We're seeing Chris kind of burn up those tires up front. We're seeing Keith slowly creep up on them. And maybe he's been saving those tires, as now they have the 20 to go. Or we could have possibly been seeing Keith try to save enough fuel to get to the end here. As we're going to see Chris's time dip below 1 second. And Chris Samard has got a battle on his hands with points leader Seth Hatchell right behind him. We're going to go back up front as the time has kind of extended back out to a second, as Keith now dropping back even more, back to 1.3. Maybe Keith might have gotten a bad exit there. Go back to Seth Hatchell, who is on pit road. And Joe Mitchell went right along with him. Maybe these guys are trying a short pit strategy, trying to get enough tires underneath them to make it to the end. Maybe they need to top off the fuel as well. And I think we are seeing Keith try to save a little bit of fuel, as he is back to 1.7, back from the leader Chris Caruso. And we are keeping an eye on Keith as he is falling back now to 3 seconds from Chris. And I think he's in fuel saving mode with 16 to go. Go back out to the leader, who only needs 5 more laps to have the most laps led here tonight. Joe Owen has now gone 1 lap down. Dean Viney getting ready to go 1 lap down, along with Bob Skinner. And let's take a listen to the 09's engine here, see maybe if he is pushing the clutch and going into the corners. And I do think we have a driver in fuel saver mode right now, as he did pit later. He pitted 1 lap later than Chris Caruso, but has fallen 4 seconds back. Doesn't have to worry about Lupe Gonzalez, who's in a battle with Steven Burnett. Kind of the distance between Lupe and Keith right now. Then you also see Burnett right back there battling for 3rd position. And he might be seeing Chris Caruso kind of in fuel saver right now, even though Keith has almost fallen 5 seconds back, but he has not managed to pass Dean Viney yet. And it may look like that changes. He's gone to the high side, trying to make the run, coming off the corner, but will not have enough to make the pass. And right now we do have a tie for the most laps led. Chris Caruso and Keith Mayato. 25 laps led for both those guys here tonight. And now Dean Viney will go 1 lap down. $18 cars remaining on the lead. Lap 21 of our 23 drivers still on the track. And we might be starting to see a change with Keith Mayato as he is starting to push that car a little bit more. Then we're going to see that car extend back out again. So 5 seconds back now from leader Chris Caruso. 11 laps to go. He does take over the most laps led. And as we come to 10 to go, we'll take a run through of the field. One more time tonight, Christopher Caruso, 27 laps led, started in third, is sitting up front. Keith Maeto is now 5 seconds back from Chris, started on the pole, 25 laps led for Keith, and he is now sitting in second. Lupe Gonzalez, who started in 8th, currently running in third, still has a little bit of work to do to get up to that second place. Stephen Burnett, who started 10th, now up in 4th. Adam Baker, who started 11th, up in 5th. Shane Pippola started in 6th, has made his way back up to 6th after falling back to 12th. Kurt Davidson, who started 7th, currently runs in 7th. Seth Hatchell, who started 5th, currently runs in 8th. Chris Samard, who started 2nd tonight, now sitting back in 9th. Billy Howard, who started 14th, sits in 11th. David Howard Jr. just made a pass as we had one driver going to pit road. That is Aaron Riley. So David Howard Jr. started 9th, currently running in 11th. David Gainforth started 16th, is currently running in 12th. Paul Zota, who started 15th, is in 13th. Lynn McNeese, who started 22nd, currently running in 14th. Jim Locking, who started 17th, currently runs in 15th. Bob Skinner, who started 21st, still on that lead lap. He is the last car on the lead lap, is running in 16th. Dean Viney, 1 lap down, started 20th, is currently running 18th. Joe Owen, who started 12th, is running in 18th. Aaron Riley, who started 13th tonight, now 1 lap down, sitting in 19th. Jeff Glockner started 19th, currently runs in 20th. And Joe Mitchell, not sure what happened to him, but he's started 4th and currently sits in 21st. And it looks like he is sitting on the pit road for the remainder of the race. So 8 laps to go now. And it does look like Chris Caruso, unless something drastic happens, has walked away with the win, as he is 6 seconds ahead of Keith Maeto, who still has another 5 seconds back to Lupe Gonzalez. As we come to 7 to go, Chris has almost locked up the most laps led. He is getting close to it. I think he needs 1 more lap and he will at least earn a share of the most laps led here tonight. Needs 2 more to lock it though. I'm sure he would like to get all 7 of the final laps led with 5.8 seconds back to Keith. Back out front as we get the 6 to go. Take 1 ride around with now, man, with the most laps led, Chris Caruso with 31 laps led needs 1 more to lock it away and be the solo winner of those bonus points. Lots of lap traffic for Chris to pass here, as he's just put Bob Skinner 1 lap down, and he's starting to work on starting to work on Paul Zoda now in that Mobile 1 car. And he will make the pass on Paul Zoda. We do have 14 remaining, or excuse me, we will have 13 remaining on the lead lap, coming to 4 to go. And Lynn McNeese, one of 3 drivers to lead a lap here, getting ready to go 1 lap down. Drivers remaining on that lead lap. Chris Caruso, Keith Mayato, Lupe Gonzalez, Stephen Burnett, and Adam Baker make up your top 5. And really, there are no battles within that top 5, as everybody is pretty much separated by at least 2 seconds. We'll have a little bit of a battle here in front of the leader. And never mind, that is a 1.5 second gap there between David Gainforth and Lynn McNeese. Coming to 3 to go. These guys are going to battle to try to stay on that lead lap. Christopher Caruso coming around for 2 to go, and he's still got the 84 of Lynn McNeese right in front of him. 101 of David Gainforth and David Howard Jr., the last 3 on the lead lap. 1 caution here tonight, and as long as we get to that white flag, we will only have 1 caution for the race. Pretty good job by these guys. 167 laps or 167 miles? Let's double check on that. It was 162.5 miles and only 1 caution. We only had 1 driver take it behind the wall. Joe Mitchell did elect to stay on pit road. He's probably up in the sky admitting for the rest of the race, but he will finish the race, I believe, 9 laps down. As the white flag is out, we will have no more cautions. 1 caution for these guys here tonight. And Christopher Caruso, 8.5 seconds ahead. And we will have 1 last lap battle, actually between 3 cars. Right now, go back out front because Christopher Caruso is going through the tunnel turn. Making his last turn around the corner. And there you have it. Christopher Caruso will be your FreakFire.com 65 winner here tonight. Another win for Lazy Days Racing. And he will take over sole ownership of the most wins here this season. We'll be right back with our interviews. All right, and we are back, and we do have the race winner, Chris Caruso, in the booth. Chris, how you feeling?
Good. I was nervous, man. It was a fuel race there at the end, so we were trying to save and maintain a gap. So it was a good race.
Now, when you started to see Keith kind of drop back there, were you kind of switching your mindset and going to try to save some fuel?
Yeah, we were trying to maintain a gap. I was trying to maintain a second, and then my spotter Chris Fowler. We didn't even really realize it until he looked at the fuel. So I was glad he was up on the box. We had about I think a half a lap or maybe a lap, and we ended up managing saving a little bit more because he dropped off. So just figuring out those last 15 laps, it was scratching our heads, crossing our fingers.
Now, what was your strategy going into, I guess, kind of that first fuel run? Were you just trying to save your tires? Were you trying to go as long as you could to make it a one-stop race?
Yeah, we were trying to make it a one stop. Last night we did the same thing, and it worked out for us. With this new build, we were trying to figure out how the tires would wear, all that kind of stuff. So we kind of set a pace of our own. We kind of had some numbers in mind, and my spotter Chris just kind of kept me honest and let me know what everybody was running. So
Now, one thing we do see a lot of drivers do when they come to here to Pocono, we hear a lot of drivers are shifting. Were you shifting in one and two, or one or three at any point?
no, I didn't shift. I usually watch Ray Alfala. They do their little YouTube bits every week, and he was downshifting, but that was with the old build. So I just didn't feel like it gained anything. Maybe if you were going to pass somebody on the inside or on a restart, I feel like it could have helped. But as far as saving tires, and I have a pretty good line in 3 and 4, I guess if you can say it's 4. Kind of arcing the corner, I get a good run off, so I don't really need the downshift. So.
All right, well, you start third tonight. You lead 37 laps. You come away with a win. You now take over the most wins this season in SoMO for the Cup Series. And I want to say that you're going to put on a pretty good battle with Seth Hatchell for the points. We'll wait to see when those come out. But anybody you'd like to give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, give a shout out to you guys. It's glad to have you back. Glad to have these things live and put on a good show. Paul for putting everything together. Eric Brilly and Lazy Days Racing, they put it all together for me to be here. Chris Fowler, my spotter, he was the hero tonight. I said he was going to be a hero or a zero, and he ended up being the hero. And Nate Anderson, he's our car chief, and Eric Spencer with Airborne Graphics.
Now, next week, you guys do go back to the 1.5 tracks. I believe it might actually just be a mile. Michigan. How are you feeling about Michigan going into next week?
Feeling good. It's a confidence booster. We won last night and tonight, but the guys in here are super difficult to race. They everybody's good. You got to drive your guts out every race to you earn your wins, and especially with the green flag action going on now. We're gonna have to worry about fuel and saving tires, and it's we're definitely gonna come out swinging, but you gotta keep a level head and just keep pushing.
All right. Well, congrats to you, Chris, and congrats on your third win this season. And I mean, with that Daytona 500 win, anybody would be happy. But now you got 3 wins this season. You're looking at a points championship. So congrats to you, and we hope to see you next week out at Michigan.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming back. It's great to have you guys back, and we'll see you next week.
All right, and we do have second place finisher Keith Mayato. And let's get him pulled up here. Keith, do you get a copy?
10-4.
All right, well, you battled pretty hard up front for most of the race, and we kind of saw you fall off near the end there. But how was the car out there tonight for you?
Car felt great. I was actually having fun there racing, I guess, both courses at that time. And until I realized I had to save fuel, that's when I had to back off.
Is that why we saw you back off so drastically at the end there?
Yeah, I had no idea. I assumed I was gonna make it to the end, and then one of my teammates mentioned it, and I looked, and I was like, "Wow, I'm 2 laps short." So I had to start saving.
Now, we we have seen you kind of come on late, or I guess it's only about halfway in the season, but we have seen you kind of come on and get a couple wins and get a couple high finishes. Next week, you guys do head to Michigan. How are you out there?
I'll be competitive. I can't see why I shouldn't be battling one of the guys for the lead. Not to be so confident, but I do like Michigan, and I haven't actually raced on it probably like over a year, so it'd be kind of you know fun to see if the how the racing line will change with the whole dynamic track.
Now, we did hear from Chris about this a little bit. Did you notice anything different that you had to adjust in your driving style with this new tire wear they put out on the new build, and how the track heats up and cools down?
I haven't noticed too much, but I'm pretty like me personally. I actually lay off a lot and then try to be good on a long run. So I didn't notice too much. I just noticed towards the end it does rubber up a lot more, I think, than previous. So you can actually, work the low line and gain a little bit on the upper groove.
All right. Well, you do start on the pole tonight. You come away with a second place finish. You led 25 laps. Is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to all the GAC crew and for yourself, the Parks Brother Racing for putting on a good show tonight.
All right. And we hope to see you next week out at Michigan.
10-4. Hope to talk to you.
All right. And that'll wrap it up tonight. We'll take a look at the results. Chris Caruso will come away your race winner. Keith Mato will come away with a second place finish. Lupe Gonzalez will round out the top three. Stephen Burnett and Adam Baker make your top five. Shane Pippola, Seth Hatchell, Chris Samard, Kurt Davidson, Billy Howard round out the top 10 here tonight. David Howard Jr. will come away with an 11th place finish. David Gainforth in 12th. Lynn McNeese will be the last car on that lead lap, led 3 laps earlier in the race. Will also come away with a 13th place finish. Bob Skinner will be the first car 1 lap down in 14th. Paul Zoda will also be 1 lap down in 15th. Joe Owen, Aaron Riley, Dean Viney, Jim Locking, Jeff Glockner all 1 lap down, and they will finish 16th through 20th. And the last 2 cars to take the field, Joe Mitchell will end his night 7 laps down in 21st, and Jeff Sharp will be 63 laps down, was involved in that first caution, and taken out early. So thank you to the many sponsors that support Southern Motorsports, including iRacing World, O2 Dermaleaf, Cindy's Finds, Portside Jaguar and Land Rover, Joe Owen Towing, Candles by Amy, Hardy's, CS Hobby, BZ Designs, Creekfire.com, and Lazy Days Racing. Thanks to Paul Zoda, Aaron Riley, and Joe Mitchell for allowing Parks Brothers Broadcasting to bring you the race tonight. And make sure to subscribe to Parks Brothers Racing for your weekly Lazy Days Racing Cup Series broadcast. Next week we will be at Michigan for 145 laps of hard-nose racing action. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.